Welcome to tonight's special episode of Lifestyles, where we celebrate the incredible impact of women in media. Yes, in honor of Women's History Month, we are shining a spotlight on Christian women who have made significant contributions to the world of media. This evening, I am overjoyed to share with you the most amazing, phenomenal woman that I know. Yes, she is that phenomenal woman. And I'm delighted that she's here to share her story and journey of media with you. Our special guest tonight is none other than Dr. Marina Mclean. Dr. Mclean is a television host of the Mega Women television show. She is also the founder of Mega Women Ministries. She's a wife, she's a prophetic voice, she's a prolific writer, and she's here with us on tonight to share with you why she answered the media mandate. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to my sister and friend, Dr. Marina Mclean.
Hello, my love. So good always to be with you, my friend and my sister.
And how have you been? Give us an update.
Oh my gosh. I don't know when I last talked with you, but I have been busy. My husband and I travel together, and then I have my ministry, which is mainly online now, and I do conferences here in the Dallas area and different cities, but mainly in the last 2 years after COVID, restarting back up conferences. I do it here in Dallas. But it's just been a journey, and I said to you before we came on that I just finished the NRB, the National Religious Broadcast exhibition here in Dallas. And so meeting women from different media mountains is just phenomenal because we're all are doing our part, playing our part, not trying to compete with each other. One of my phrases is don't compete, collaborate. And so I saw that collaboration at the exhibition, but I'm also part of Christian Women in Media. That's another hat that I wear, another organization that I'm in, and they are in all facets of media. So I get to sharpen my tools, Dr. Pauline, and
Yes.
not just doing this, but sharpen my tools too, which I know is important to you.
Our aim with Media Mandate is to have these open, honest, and inspiring
Yes.
conversations about the intersection of faith,
Mhm.
career, and the role of women in media. And you are such an amazing example for us in this area of media. As we talk about Media Mandate, when you think about those two words, what
Mhm.
comes to your mind?
For media mandate is the message that I carry, the message that I express, knowing that I do have a message, my trials, my testing, and then how to present that to a wide audience. Because when you talk media now, you're not talking to your local congregation, you're not talking to your family and your friends. You're talking a worldwide message. So a message that can transcribe transition across multiple cultures and the ordinary woman. I don't want to say heavily on that, but I'm going to say it this way: the ordinary woman know from the message we carry that she can do extraordinary things. Because I think that's so important that when women look at us, they think, oh, they became. No, we are still becoming. And the message is constantly being challenged, constantly being strengthened because of who we are, what we go through, and to tell it in an honest and open but uplifting way so that when the person finished listening to the message, they know that, okay, I, this speaks to me. Certain things in there speak to me. And then the mandate, I think that's why God gave me the title Mega Women, because one of my phrases, and I should say my phrase, my tagline is that you are a hidden economy. So my media mandate is to for every woman, young girl, no matter what age group, whatever state in life you are, to recognize there's a hidden economy inside of you. And you're not an economy if you hoard. You're an economy when you share, when you distribute. So that's that. I would say that's the beginning of it.
So tell us a little bit about your journey in the media industry and how did you get started?
So my journey was slow because I didn't know what part of media I wanted to be in. I was an author from 2017, and then I got into my husband and I were doing media as a means of getting our message out. So we were doing various TV interviews, our social media. But I think I really stepped into this because I had the content, as everybody knows, you have the content. Now is how you're going to use that content, how you're going to purpose or repurpose that content. And I have to say, Pauline, I know I've told you this before, but it is so nice to say this to your audience. When you got the call to start doing programming, I'm not sure it was network yet, but start doing programming, and you reached out, I was just like, Pauline, I don't know where to begin. I know I've got content. I know I've got great friends, but I don't know where to begin. And so I reached out to a friend who's already doing this. She was in my Christian media group, already doing this, but she had a studio. I didn't have a studio, so I reached out to another friend and said, because it's all about talking. It's all about asking the right questions. So I reached out to another friend and said, okay, I don't have a studio. I've got to do a program. How do I do this? She said, Airbnb. So we rented Airbnbs, got in and started recording. And I was doing this because I was doing this prior to you because I wanted to have my own content. And at that time, we didn't really have a media team. And so one young lady that recorded our conferences, she said, if you're doing anything, I'd love to help you. So I started with her, but she didn't have a studio either. So that's how I reached out to friends to get a studio. So that was the first thing that I did. And then when you came along and said, okay, Dr. Marina, I need content. I said, I can do that. So we talked and created a show. And out of that show is sent to you. And then you said, I need more. And so I thought, oh Lord. So I started reaching out to friends who knew people because I wanted to use Dallas women. It was so important to use Dallas women. So I didn't have to pay for people to come in. I didn't have to host them. They were already here. And I think that's the key that we need to understand. There were women all around you. They're in different facets, waiting to tell their story. And so that's how it evolved. You put the challenge on me, and as I say to everybody, I love to challenge people too. So you have to rise to the challenge, and you made me rise to the challenge. It was already in me, but you pulled out a different facet of that in me, and I'd be eternally grateful to you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. I mean, you really have a voice of compassion and love, and really a deep love for women when we think about this career path, because it is a career
Absolutely, that you cannot switch off.
that you can't switch off. And so when we think about our path,
Mhm.
have there been any particular challenges you've faced as a Christian woman working in the media, and how did you overcome them?
So, Christian women in media, no matter where you are, you're in a male dominated world. The majority of the camera technicians are male. I'm working with my husband, he's a man. And so you have a different presentation of the same message. And you really need, even though I was working with men, and when I wanted to do separate things, I found my own team. I didn't have to pay them much. Now we have a full-time team that we pay, and they work for both Rennie and I. But they couldn't see my vision. And so rather than sitting on my vision, I found women who at that time could work the cameras, could work, the one lady that I found could work multiple cameras. She could set that up. All she needed was space. So that's why we went to Airbnb. I'd spend the night. She'd come early in the morning and set up, and I'd get ready and come down, and we changed up the house to match what we wanted. And so when you work it in a male dominated, you just have to know that uh, I call it, because they see it as manipulation, and I don't use the word manipulation, I use strategy. So I have a strategy.
Yes.
That's the wisdom part, right? And so I have a strategy, and I learned to make the message clear of what I want. And I would do it in such a way that even when they didn't fully understand, sometimes it's my accent, sometimes it's my vision, they don't understand. I learned, as my children would say, keep it short, mom, keep it concise. Don't give them the amplified version, give them the concise version. So I learned when you deal with men to keep it concise. Don't put emotion in it. If they don't understand, don't get emotional. Just say, okay, what did you understand that I said? I just, and then I know the word I use it for clarity. Um,
Yes.
did you understand what I said? And so you just learn different techniques of how to express yourself, but it is about expressing yourself. They can call it demanding, but you know your vision. If you're a mother, you know your baby, and so you want that baby to be handled with the same care that you've given birth to it and is about to nurture it.
What role has mentorship or community played in your career? And are there any women in your life who have shaped your journey?
And one that I'm looking at right now has helped shape my journey is you, Dr. Pauline. And the women that I've come across, so really for me, it's my Christian Women in Media um, community. Because when I started with them, I would just help out in various things. Now I do the Zoom meetings, so I set up the Zoom meetings and I do breakout rooms in that Zoom. And somebody put that on me, said, "Oh, Marina, can you do Zoom?" No. Okay, so I need you to learn this. I need you to learn how to do breakout rooms. And so put the challenge on me, and I rose to the challenge, even though I said, I don't know nothing about this, as we all do. And
Yeah,
so you do your research, and so they have been the women that have sharpened my tool set. Stepping out on Facebook Live. And I do this to my friends. They say to me, I don't do Facebook Live. And I say, okay, I'm going live right now. And I put them on the spot. But you have to know your message. And that's so important. Once you know your message, you can use the tools that are out there to get your message across. Because really, you're not fighting the tools. You are wanting the tools to add to the expansion of your message.
yeah,
Me, it's a whole community of women that I have. There's certain ones that really stand out. Sue Ellen Roberts stands out because she put the challenge on me to do Zoom because she had to learn Zoom for COVID, and so and I was always doing Zoom prior to that, but never breakout rooms, and then webinars, and so they put me on the spot. They're like, look, literally, my friends, and you've done this literally God speaks to you, who I need you to do this, who could I ask? And my friends literally come, God says to them, Marina, and I say, but God didn't tell me that. Hello, he spoke to you, but he didn't have that conversation with me. Is I
right.
do that with my husband. And so ministry and mandate, sometimes it's not what God has spoken to you, is what he's spoken to somebody else, and they draw out that creativity and draw
Yeah,
out something in you. And so for me, it's a multitude of women, but there's some that have really stood out. And mentoring is so important.
yeah.
Um, I love mentoring, and sometimes I think I do mentoring without knowing that I do mentoring,
Mhm.
because I sit beside somebody and they show me what they're doing, and I go, okay, you're doing that wrong. This is what you need to do. And I literally, and my husband said I should stop doing that. I take their phones from them, and I start clicking and showing them, and I do it in such a way that it's not judgmental. And
Yes,
what I found, Dr. Pauline, you'll understand is women who are secure in themselves love sharing knowledge.
yes,
Women who are very secure in themselves love sharing knowledge. And we do it just as a mother. I was hard on my children, so I can't really say that. But just as a mother encourages her child, and some of the times your child has to do the research,
mhm,
even though you're helping them, they have to do the research to seal that knowledge in. And so I love mentorship. As one of my hats that I wear is I'm a master coach. So I love coaching people to their next, and whether that's in business, whether that's in media, whether that's in marriage, whether that's in CEOs stepping into, or challenging, crossing over from CEO into from the corporate into the Christian world. I love doing that because I've learned throughout the stages of my life to reinvent myself. I've got friends that say they are solopreneurs or they're serial entrepreneurs. I say I'm serial, always inventing myself. I don't know if there's a word, but I'm always inventing myself,
Right.
myself, and so it's evolving. It's really it's
Yeah.
evolution. We have to evolve. I hope that answered that.
Oh, you did so wonderfully. That's the key is mentorship and,
Mhm.
giving and receiving. And I
Yeah,
think when we give and when we receive, we're able to become the best version of ourselves because we're
absolutely.
ever learning. We're ever learning. Let's talk a little bit about faith and work. How do you maintain your Christian values and integrity in an industry that sometimes feels very different from your faith?
I try to stay out of politics. That's the one thing that I try to do. My husband does not do a good job of that. But that's the mandate that's on him because he knows how the wisdom God's given him is how to correct and address things and bring it from a biblical perspective. But one of the things that I know that it's a mandate that I address is the woman's role
Yeah.
and the woman's role in media, especially because they need to see feminine women who are decisive, because a man's version of a woman in leadership is the word Jezebel. And so that they tend
Yes.
to mother all of us, put all of us in
Wait,
that box.
hold it. Hold it.
We went there, right?
Wait. You got to go back. What did you just say? You said a man's.
A man's um, vision or version of a woman in leadership, no matter what color, no matter what sphere of leadership she's in, they box us in this one box called Jezebel because we are women of authority. But what I explained to them, the difference between Jezebel and the women that you are seeing today, Jezebel used manipulation for her husband, good as it was, but for her husband. When we stand as women today, which is the difference in this end time movement of women, is that we not only reflect ourselves, but we are setting the standard for women leadership coming behind us because we know that there is a weight that we naturally carry when we stand. No matter how red my hair is or brown my hair is, no matter how bright my lipstick and the colors that I wear, the message that I'm presenting is a message of consistency. My
Yeah.
character is a character that you cannot throw anything at. As Jesus said, the son of perdition is coming, but he has nothing on me. We are standing now as women with such great character and wisdom and anointing and the flow of decisiveness. When we speak, there is an authority that is silent but effective. And that's the leadership that we're seeing coming forth in women on throughout the spheres, not
Yeah.
just Christian women. And one of the words that I've said recently, Dr. Pauline, is that a rhema God gave me, which is where my mentorship is really honing in on,
Mhm.
is that God is opening up tables for righteous women to sit at unrighteous tables.
Yes.
Because we have the ability to listen, to glean, and then give wisdom because that is no matter how much wealth and influence the world has, one of the things they lack is wisdom, and one of the things that is really robbing or is a we don't see much of is integrity and humanity. And one of the things that is naturally in women, because we naturally nurture, no matter how strong we are or how weak we are, we naturally nurture. And God is bringing that to the forefront in this season.
Yes.
That's how I deal with men.
Yes, absolutely. Would you say that Christian women are changing the narrative in media?
Oh,
And do you feel like that there's a shift happening?
absolutely. And when you started, I know, let me go back to you for a moment. When you started a network and you said you're going to do a network for women, how many women were just like, yay, and how many women were just like, what?
Right.
How many men were just like, what? A network for women? Is there going to be enough content? Uh, is there going to be enough diversity? And then you discovered that women are constantly sending you content. We're constantly networking because that's how we keep growing and being relevant. We constantly go cross culture,
Yes.
cross denomination. This is a spiritual platform I'm talking about. So we constantly go cross culture, cross denomination, because we all have a battle that we face that we know other women are facing. And
Yeah.
so the ability to tell our story without a man scripting it for us is the most powerful thing, because we overcome by the blood of the lamb and
Yeah.
the word of our testimony.
Yeah.
And women are definitely changing the narrative, because we're not only telling our story, but we're giving you the testimony of how we overcome.
Yeah.
And then letting you know, God, we're reminding you of God's word. He is not biased. He if he did it for me, every woman says this, if he did it for me, he can do it for you. And
Yeah.
then the stories, Pauline, that we are hearing from these women that and when we finish, we're just like, wow.
Yeah.
And who else would give them the opportunity to tell that
Yes.
story?
Yeah. So, are there any projects or media pieces that you've worked on that you feel particularly proud of?
I interview women who are entrepreneurs. I interview social media influencers, new authors, women that have gone through violent abuse. But the thing that I'm really joyful about is every October I get to interview cancer survivors, and I dedicate that whole month to cancer survivors. And last year, I said I want to interview men who've had breast cancer, because I went to a function and they said men have breast cancer. I was like, men have breast cancer. So I interviewed two men. One had the breast cancer gene that they discovered after he had prostate cancer. So they naturally test now for breast cancer gene if you've gone through chemo and various things. So men are getting tested and not knowing it. So he was told that he had the breast cancer gene, and he had to then talk about it with his sisters and his mother. He's never had to do that. And so he's telling them that he had to go and have a mammogram and explain it to them. And they're saying, yeah, we have this. And it was just amazing, the feedback I got from that. And then a man who had both prostate cancer and breast cancer. And that brought such awareness. The men reached out to me privately and said, thank you for doing this, because it's something that we would never talk about. So, in some of the great interviews that I've had with women, these two stuck up because I went out of my comfort zone. I
Yeah.
literally went out of my comfort zone, and then I didn't have to search too far. I put it out there, as you say, Lord, do this. And two friends just randomly talking to me told me that they knew men that had been through breast cancer. And I was just like, only God.
What advice would you give to young Christian women aspiring to enter into the media industry today? And especially, I want to be very specific, Christian media
Yeah.
today.
I'd have to say one of the things I really advise young women on is knowing what your message is, because there's so much noise out there that some of the times you're just reacting to the noise, and you're getting on just to give your, what they call, speak your truth, which is not the biblical truth.
Yeah.
And so I would say know your message, stick to your message, always have a theme. If there's a theme for the month, have a theme, that way you know what your content is going to be, and you can create posts on that. You can create commercials on that. If you're heading for TV, know what your TV program is going to be about. If you're heading for podcasts,
Yeah.
what is the purpose of your podcast? Who are going to be your guests? If it's just you, some of the young people, it's just them on their podcast. What is the topic you're going to be talking about? Be knowledgeable, do your research. And then the other thing is, the main thing that people tell you in this is know your audience.
Yes.
If you're dealing with a younger audience, make your message relevant and always tie God in. Bring, whether it's a scripture, whether it's a quote, tie God into it so that they know that your faith is important to you. Yes, I'm on this political mandate, but my faith is important. That's the foundation that I rest on.
What do you think is the most important thing for women in media to remember when navigating the challenges of balancing faith, career, and personal life?
I'm going to start with the top faith because if you don't talk to God, you don't have a message. You got a lot of mess, but not a message.
Yes, yes, yes,
And we've seen a lot of mess talk rather than the message. And
yes.
so your faith is so important. Talking to God in the morning, people will tell you this. Have a devotional time. Some of you, it's the morning. For me, it's the night time. I lay in my bed, and for me and God, it's the early hours of the morning. And
Yeah.
so that is my definite time with God. And then throughout the day, I'm talking, I'm praying. So I know that that's my personal discipline. But make God your CEO. And and as you know, those of you that are in management, those of you that are not. So let me tell you about management. Management is you're always talking to your staff. You're always, whether it's day to day, whether it's through text, you're letting your staff know what your purpose is, what your dreams, what your ambitions are. Talk with God. God will tell you, give you the dream, and usually the administration of how to do it. You don't know what to talk about today. Talk to God. He'll give you what your subject is today, what your theme is for the month. And then family, you get busy. Family is so important. I'm a busy person, but I have dear friends that this is funny. I have a friend. All I have to do is send a text, 2 words, sweet fellowship, and she responds where and when. And so it's so important to have friends. My birthday is at Christmas, so I now have friends that I'll do breakfast birthday with because no matter if we don't meet up throughout the year, we try to. But my birthday, their birthday is important. I said mine is very important because I'm a Christmas baby, and so friends. So you have to have friends, and I have different groups of friends, but you have to have friends that will inspire you. I've got friends that inspire me. That circle. I have friends that will correct me.
Yeah.
That's so important. Sometimes I run from them and they still find me. Um, because that's how our relationship is. But they can be straight and honest with
Yeah.
me. They don't have to say, "Oh, let me try and say this nicely." They know they're going to offend me, and that's fine because that's our relationship. But
Yeah.
that takes maturity. Let's be honest, that takes maturity. And then I have friends that I have fun with. So there's different categories because now I'm much older. When I was younger, those few friends that I had, because and church friends and world friends, church friends, and I'm going to say this, associates, don't you never put them together. You always keep them separate. And that is so important that you do. That way your worlds don't collide and your friends that are your Christian friends are biased with you concerning your faith and your morals. And then your associate friends are things that you do with work wise. And so your presentation of faith is so important for them to know that, okay, she's like us, but yet there is a standard with her.
So let's talk about looking ahead. Where do you see yourself and your work in the next few years? And
Yeah.
what kind of impact do you want to have on the media landscape?
One of the things that I would love to do for our network, RMM, is to build a network so that other people's messages, other people's stories can be on it. And that's one of the things that's my long-term goal. But I love mentoring. And so mentoring programs, whether I now do it virtually, but I'd love to be able to do that physically. And then, as you know, our ministry is global. And so that global impact, going to the nations. Right now, the nations come to us, but going to the nations, that is my heart. That's been my heart from when we got married, to go to the nations.
I just want to thank you so much. We're already out of time, Dr. Marina. And thank you so much for stopping by Lifestyles.